Test, test. Can people online hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Yeah, excellent. Drew, are you online?
Yeah, I saw when I walked in.
Yes, I am.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah. Charlie's online? I thought he was coming.
No, I don't see him. Drew, are you online? Can you show your picture?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
there
I
you
camera,
are. We
but I
can't
am
hear
online.
you for some reason. We know why? Hold on, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Looks like our sound might be off.
Oh, we haven't turned on yet.
Drew,
Can you hear me now?
hold on one sec, Drew.
Oh.
Drew, can you say something now?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Very good. And I see Charles as well. Charles, can you say yes?
Yes, sorry, I'm joining virtually today. I think I have a tree guy coming at some point.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's good. We have a quorum, which is good. So, good morning, everyone online or here. We're going to get started for the June 6th, City Planning Commission meeting. Before we get started, the director is going to read some rules and responsibilities, and then we'll jump in. So I'm going to turn it over to Callie. Good morning.
Good morning. In compliance with notification requirements of Ohio's open meeting law and section 101.021 of the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the City Planning Department conduct their meetings in a manner modeled after Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Recusals from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting has the opportunity to be heard, we ask that online participants use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. All meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube. All requests to speak on a particular matter submitted through proper channels have been considered. We have also received emails from those who have provided written comment on a particular matter. Proper channels for comments are listed below. Communication with members of this body must follow proper channels for consideration. Any comments received by the Wednesday noon deadline are collected by city planning staff and disseminated to the commission members prior to any scheduled meeting. Proper channels for public comment include sending an email to the cityplanning@clevelandohio.gov address with a comment or a letter, calling and or leaving a message at 216-664-2210, sending a letter or dropping off comments at City Hall, 601 Lakeside, Suite 501, Cleveland, Ohio 44114. Our meeting rules and procedures are that the chair will call each agenda item and then each applicant will be invited to proceed through their presentation. Each presentation should be completed prior to questions and comments from the commission in order to facilitate a smooth presentation. Once the presentation has concluded, the chair will ask planning staff to summarize Design Review Advisory Committee recommendations, if applicable, and any public comments received. Public comments received through the proper channels by the deadline are distributed to commission members prior to the meeting. Staff will also identify any members of the public present and scheduled to speak. Public comment is allowed at the discretion of the chair, and any individual providing public comment is permitted 2 minutes to speak to the agenda item in which they have an interest. The chair will then request a recommendation from staff, if applicable. The commission will then begin deliberations and project review. Any commission member except the chair may make a motion at any point after an agenda item has been called.
Okay. First order is to call the roll. Evelyn.
Anthony is not present. Fluker,
Present.
Curry,
Present.
McCray Scott,
Present.
Sargent,
Present.
Blythe.
Present.
We have a quorum. The first order of business is to approve the minutes from the May 16th meeting. I was not present. I have the minutes. You've got them in advance.
Here, so
So you should, so I'm going to abstain. And we'll need someone else to make a motion. Make sure that, we're in, agreement where, Drew and Charles were both here, I see. So we'll be able to vote on this matter.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
I can second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll.
Fluker,
Yes.
Curry,
Abstain.
McRae Scott,
Yes.
Sergeant,
Yes.
Blythe,
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, the first item is a lot split and consolidation on page 3. The project address is 3807 John Avenue. This is permanent parcel number 00330-070. Is Benjamin Stafford here, the surveyor online? Come on up. You can just have a seat and press the button to green, just so they can hear you online.
Do you want to explain the lot split?
Yeah, we'll leave the.
So the property owners have 2 apartment buildings, front and back on this lot. And their hope was to split the parcel, to separate the 2 buildings independently. The rear building has access, but not really, to John Court in the back. The plan would be to have a utility and drive easement on the northeast sideline of the front lot. So we're still waiting on some verification on the utility locations. It's our understanding that each building is independent, but we'll need to identify exactly where they are and make sure they're covered by an easement. The whole plat is prepared with an overall boundary of the block, and this is the proposed 2 lots and easement. The easement may get adjusted to cover utilities, or a secondary utility easement will be mapped, but again, we're still kind of waiting on gas line maps.
That's the question. So the hashed sign, the hashed on the right is an easement. It's not like a access easement. So someone who lives there is not driving and parking there. It's just for utilities.
No, that's a planned proposed access easement.
So they would be able to drive and park there?
Yes, or have a walk. They haven't planned out how they want to construct a drive there. There's no drive on the lot currently.
And there's no doors for this building on John Court. There's no entrances on John Court.
Correct. There's a service walk that kind of runs along the front building that goes out to the sidewalk on John. Yes.
So I mean, this is required. No one can get to their property if it's not done.
In the back building, correct.
So why is there hesitation on saying there'll be a drive, a walk? Like,
Oh, I don't know if they're gonna plan on a sidewalk on that side, or if they're gonna like a 4-foot walk that goes just to the back building, or if they plan a driveway. I don't know the intent. But it's an access easement, so it could be either.
right. I mean, for me, in this case, because it's so critical, we would want to see the plan. Like
A plan for,
a site plan. that
for a
shows-
driveway?
Or a walkway or whatever. Like, we're just trusting that, I mean, you're saying it could end up just being utility, right?
Well, right now that's planned as an access easement. So however they're gonna get access to the rear lot, post lot split, my assumption is it'll be a driveway. And then whatever utility connections, which I believe are all in front of this access easement, will be set in a utility easement independently.
Yeah.
Or there'll be an agreement between the 2 lots.
I mean, I think, I'll get you.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'd like to sort of echo your concern. Oftentimes, when you do have utility easements, depending upon the utility, they don't want anything constructed over their utility. So it could be a challenge. So what I would recommend and
Well, a
suggest.
driveway would go over a service connection.
Okay, but I think to the applicant, you should at least have a hand on what that means. Because I know there's certain utilities who get a little frumpy about that in terms of landscaping, walks, et cetera, just in my travels as an architect. The second thing that I would strongly advocate for before this is actually approved and recorded is to make sure that there are no encumbrances being put upon either one of the structures relative to the location of the property line, firewalls, et cetera, openings, things like that, because you could establish this and find out that you're out of compliance with the building code. So what I'm suggesting is that's a conversation with the building department or the zoning administrator in the building or the zoning administrator in the building department.
I mean, I think we're not opposed to this. I
No.
just think normally if we would see something, we would see a site plan. Unless it was just a very simple lot split that had access. But like, when we see these a lot, where someone's splitting a lot, there's two houses, but there is access, right? But to do something like this, we would, or the director would need to see the site plan and the, what, I mean, you're just the surveyor, right? But you know what they're doing, but
I don't know what improvements they have planned.
yeah, so that's the problem for us, which is where we need to know in order to approve the lot split when there's no access, right?
Okay.
So I think I would recommend that we just table this 2 weeks and have you come back with that. It's not that we're opposed to this, it's just that it's our responsibility not to end up with a flag parcel that, where there's some disagreements around it. So long-term. So if you're open to that, to go back to the applicant and say, hey, we really need a site plan, you need to tell us what improvements you're going to make for access, then I think we can approve this.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Sure. Madam Chair, I'd like to move to postpone. That would be a more preferred route, I believe, to allow the applicant to conduct due diligence relative to access drives and or walks and coordinate with the building and or fire departments relative to firewalls and or openings that might be created as a result of the location of the said property line split.
Can I follow up on that? I don't think I follow that. There's the split.
All right, so, okay, I don't want to get geeky on you because if you place a property line between two buildings, there's certain distances a building has to be away from the property line that would allow them to either create firewalls, propose openings or protected openings. And if it's within a certain distance, then either building could be out of compliance with the building code by virtue of the lot split line. You understand that?
Yes. Although the building is on the property line.
I know it doesn't matter. You're creating something that's not there. So therefore,
it's the line between the two buildings.
but that's not,
I understand.
I understand what you're saying. I'm not trying to do your job. What I am trying to suggest is you may create a hardship for the applicant if you don't do your due diligence. That's all I'm suggesting.
So
And it may not be an issue.
how do I process that?
I would go to the building department. Typically, I forget the gentleman's name who actually handles intake. And I think there's certain days that you can walk in and sit down with the building department and go over your plans, and they can opine on that in real time.
Okay.
I just don't know what those dates or times are.
Okay.
We can work with you to
Okay.
go through the process and do that vetting.
Thanks.
So 2 weeks.
That was a motion?
A second?
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll.
Fluker,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
McCray Scott.
Yes.
Sergeant,
Yes.
Blythe.
Yes.
Motion carries. We'll see you soon. And if you need help, talk to the staff.
Sure.
So the next item is a design review item. It's Hub 27-2025-006. This is at 2500 West 27th Street. It's new construction. This is for schematic approval to the commission members. Take a look at there is a long list that I'm not going to read of conditions from schematic approval from local. And I need to swear in anyone speaking to this. If Pete is here, are you the only one that's speaking to this? And you can come up. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer to the penalty of perjury?
I do.
Okay, welcome. I think they'll bring up your slides, and we'll go from there.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks for your time. Pete Schwiger with Pivotal. Pivotal is a housing developer. We develop affordable housing, been doing so for about 30 years. Have around 10,000 units, over 100 communities, mostly here in Ohio. Nearest to you here, we've developed down in Medina, Brunswick, over in Elyria, and we're excited to be bringing our first affordable development to the city of Cleveland as well. Just to give you a little bit of background before I go into the project, we have applied for and secured Ohio tax credit funding through the Ohio Finance Agency to help develop this property. We secured those funds late last year. And began the conceptual process from there. The development is a 53-unit workforce housing development. It will be affordable in nature, meaning we will target 80% AMI and under with all of the units. There's a variety of bandwidths from 50% to 80% AMI. And we're excited to be preserving affordable housing in the neighborhood. It seemed to be a very big point for residents as we had some of the neighborhood meetings. So with that, we've gone through conceptual review and approval, and we did have some conditions out of that, most of which we were able to meet. And I'll go through those as we get through the plans. And then we did go through the PET-MOT process to make sure we were bringing in all the interdepartmental reviews. There have been some adjustments and changes and clarifications made since then, so we do have all of their information and able to accommodate those design changes as we move forward to our final development plan. This was the overall site. And let me explain in that when we brought this as a conceptual stage, we brought forward a master plan. The owners of the property own around 5 acres. Our development we'll be presenting to you today is about 1.5 of those acres on the northern side, and we'll show you those lines here shortly. But when we did bring this forward as part of a larger project, I will say that we did attempt to secure funding for those other phases, and we did not receive funding for those other phases. And we do hope to bring them back. But for now, we're only bringing forward phase 1, and really the concepts for phase 2 are to be determined and developed. We do have the review committee's comments on that, so as we bring those future phases forward, we can accommodate points they made about those, and we've tried to address everything we could as part of phase 1. If we can go on to the next slide. I'm going to breeze through some of these because a few of them are duplicative. Just a bigger zoom in on the site, just to give you reference. On the east side, that's 27th Street, and that's Swift coming in and dead ending into 27th on the east side of our site. And we're going to be bringing that in from there. That's the Horizon Education Center. So it's great to have affordable childcare next to our housing. And then just the other street over is Route 42. So we got a major thoroughfare there. That's where the rapid transit line runs. And so we're going to be able to provide great access to transit as part of this as well, and great connectivity to the neighborhood here. So if we can move on, this shows the zoning. All of this phase is zoned light industrial, which does permit for the multifamily use. The designation is as long as it's not within, I think, 1,000 feet of heavy residential, which we are not. So the use is permitted within that district. If we can move on to the next one. Thank you. This is just an aerial kind of cleaned up view, shows the various lots that were in the master plan. And as we zoom in, we'll get more focused on our site. These were part of the conceptual approval. And this was the original master plan that was shown. It was 4 phases of housing. It is planned as hopefully a multi-generational development, meaning we're going to have phases of workforce housing for families, and we're going to have phases of senior housing, senior independent living, which is age restricted 55 plus, to kind of create a multi-generational campus and opportunity for all ages and all family sizes and types to fit. But if we can go back for 1 second, the upper phase is the actual first phase. So phase 1, and what we're here to talk about and hopefully gain schematic approval for, is that northern phase there where she's got her mouse. Thank you.
Madam Chair, is that proposed Swift Avenue extension?
No, that's private. Yeah, and that will show better in the next plans as well. Some of this is our conceptual approval, and then we're going to get into the schematic approval plans that are more detailed. We can move on. This was the original rendering showed. Again, this isn't valid because I'm going to show you a better one if we can move through that. That was just kind of during the brainstorming conceptual stages. Here's our plans. We got a 1-bedroom unit. All units are 100% accessible, 100% visitable, and 100% adaptable. They're built that way. We got 0-step entry throughout. This is an elevated 5-story building. So every unit is going to be fully accessible. 1s, 2s, and 3s. 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms have second bathrooms. Ones are just 1 and 1. All units have their own laundry facilities, open floor plans, breakfast islands, modern design, anything and everything you'd expect in your own home. Inside the building, we have on-site management, a community center, a fitness center, indoor bike storage and a repair station. We have a rooftop deck. In addition to that, outdoors, we have almost 4,000 square foot fenced in and secure, and I'll show you that in the site plan, with a playground, picnic shelter, and outdoor sun deck. There is a second shelter out in the streetscape that I'll show you as well. That's to kind of provide a little bit different function. These are the elevations. They're black and white. We do have a rendering from the front of the building that should be at the end of this. If you could. Yeah, you look like you got the concept presentation, not the final the schematic presentation. I have it if you want me to email it to you, or sorry. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Not your fault. All right, the next item is, from the Far West Design Review. This is 4666 West 130th Street Demolition. I do not need to swear in. This is their one.
Yeah, I'm with Jillian. Right here.
Let's go on to that one.
All right.
Approval of no condition, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So, again.
Yeah. So good morning, Madam Chair and Commission members. My name is Wu Jun, and I probably brought that 5 years ago. Yeah.
I remember. I'm just kidding.
Pretty good.
That's not true.
No, I know. All right. So today, again, I'm bringing forth the proposed demolition of 4666 West 130th, and it's for both the front and rear structure. And like you said, we had approval from Design Review for demolition in late 2020, but there's no record of us getting the final approval from City Planning. Next slide. And this is just the front of the structure. Next slide. All right. So these are some of the property information. The owner is currently Paz Holding LLC, and this company has had the property since 2016. And they're obviously delinquent with their taxes in the amount of $26,000 plus. There's been a lot of action in this property recently. The front's been condemned since March of 2019, and we just got the rear condemned, so we can do both together. There have been 24 complaints, but 14 complaints has been since April of 2024. We've had numerous board up 13 since 2019. And I was personally out there in November to try to board up the property because there's been squatters, and we had to call CPD assistance to get people vacated out of there. And I believe Councilman Casey has been hounding the director to take care of this problem ASAP. And I believe Mr. Austin Raymond is aware of the issues that's been going on. Maybe he can add to the comments. There's no legal issues. That we're ready to demolish as soon as possible. Like I said, there's been 2 fires in there recently as well, in November and also about a week ago. And so you could just scroll through the pictures, and these are the exterior photos. I mean, it was in the front, it looks very solid, and that's maybe one of the reasons we didn't want to demolish it at the time. But it's been, as you can see, there's fire damage. We couldn't go in, for safety reasons, but that's the rear of the structure. And like I said, you could just move through the pictures. There's been a lot of squatting, a lot of activity, and it's just been a constant nuisance probably for the last 6 months, 6 to 8 months. Again, we could just scroll through. And just as a final comment, like I said, it's been
became a very big nuisance for the community with squatters in and out, drug use. Again, like I said, there's been 2 fires recently, which proposes a safety risk for the neighboring structures and the community. And our plan is to demolish both the front and rear, remove all foundation and subgrade materials, level the site with clean backfill and seed and straw. And so we're asking for approval for this proposed demolition.
Commission members, questions?
Well, Madam Chair, I remember this building because I used to get my hair cut there
Oh, wow.
way back when I was knee-high to grasshopper. But anyway, Madam Chair, I'll move to approve the demolition of said structure as presented.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comment? I do see a hand raised.
Mr. Radman, yeah, he's aware of the problem.
Okay.
Or maybe he wanted to add
Oh,
something.
I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
Is there something, normally we don't take questions or anything for something like this, Austin?
Oh, just that, yes, it's a nuisance to the
Okay,
neighborhood.
thank you.
I work for the CDC, so.
Okay, Councilman, did you want to say something?
No, I was just trying to unmute myself and I clicked the wrong spot.
Okay,
So
all right,
I
let's
was
call the roll.
stretching, yeah.
Thank you.
Luker,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Gray Scott,
Yes.
Sergeant,
Yes.
Slife,
Yes.
Motion carries. Are we ready to go back or you want to go forward?
I still can't find
We
it.
can't do
All right,
that.
thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll keep going forward until we figure this out. The next item is Far West Design Review. This is 2025-07 West Cleveland Veteran Housing. This is at 3311 West 73rd Street. This is here for final approval. There were no conditions from design review, but a couple of recommendations. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer to the penalty of perjury?
I do.
Okay, take it away.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commission members. We are here today representing the Cleveland West Veterans Housing. It is similar to the previous project. It is also affordable housing, receiving housing tax credits this past year. There were some recommendations, as Madam Chair, you mentioned. We're going to kind of skip through the presentation and address those items, but just giving you a sense of where we're at in the process. Although we've received schematic approval from Design and Planning Commission at the last meeting, we are in the process of trying to get on a BZA agenda. Although there is an intention and an expectation to have seniors at this, it is not age restricted, and therefore we have a higher parking requirement. But as supportive housing, previous facilities have proven that the 1-to-3 or 1-to-2 ratio of parking that we're providing is satisfactory. So we do need to go through that process to get final approval. So as such, I'm going to hand it over to my associate Troy, and he'll walk you through those revisions.
Thank you for having us here today. So as you can see, the project is located on the intersection of West 73rd Street and Neville. Next slide, please. And here you can see kind of more of a top view of that, and all the gray are the local development existing around this current site. I wanted to point out on here, oh, sorry, can you go? No, you're fine. We currently have an RTA bus stop right at the entrance of this building. We will have bike parking locations as well. There's a traffic light down on Denison Avenue, the intersection of Denison and West 73rd, and then trash pickup will be a private pickup company off of Neville Avenue. Next slide, please. And then here's some just context photos. We can skip through these as they've already been presented. Next slide. Next slide. It's a lot of single-family residential houses. So this is the updated site plan. So a few things wanted to briefly touch on here. The entire site will be a secured site. Off of the West 73rd and Neville Avenue, we will be utilizing a black metal 6-foot ornamental fence, and then more of a privacy fence along the rear and sides and south of the site. This site will include various elements of outdoor bike parking, a dedicated space for the mobile medical unit utilized by the Veterans Affairs Association. There will be a raised garden beds for residents' use, 32 parking spaces. As Brian had mentioned, that's roughly a 1 to 2 ratio per unit, per units. There's 64 units in this building. And yeah, so next slide, please. So going into more of some of the site amenities, as you can see here, we're looking at the bike parking locations. We will be using lollipop style bike parking, which can accommodate roughly 14 to 15 bikes in this location, outdoor. And again, it will be in the completely in the secured site. In addition, I will touch upon this again in the floor plan, but there is also indoor bike parking, bike secured locations inside as well. We will be using various seating arrangements, different seating tables and benches along the main entry here. Next slide, please. And then this amenity is calling out the raised garden beds, roughly about 1 foot off the ground. And then additionally, there will be a 10 by 10 smoking shelter composed of aluminum and glass on the south end of the site. And then additionally, as you can see here in that kind of rendering, the dedicated space for the mobile medical unit that will be on site various times throughout the week. Next slide, please. And then the last amenity portion of this will be the front porch and front entry. We will be having a fully accessible entrance with a ramp that will be lighted at night. There is a roughly about a 7-foot depth for the front porch. One of the recommendations from design review was potentially looking at increasing that depth. But after discussing with ownership, that 7-foot of space is enough space for sitting and passing area, and ownership does not want to continue with further discussions on increasing the size of that. And then next slide, please. And then here's the floor plans. As you can see on the first floor, we will have a lot of more public spaces, some social services and staff areas, as well as supportive spaces. There will be a small fitness room, a wellness space, an exam room, community room, and community room kitchen. As I had previously mentioned, kind of flanking off the rear entrance, there will be an immediate bike parking storage room there as well. And then the upper floors, the second and third floor, are primarily just units with the use of some mechanical and trash spaces. Additionally, all trash will be utilized within the building and then rolled out when pickup occurs. And here's some renderings, as you can see. The top one's kind of looking from the end of Neville down, and then that second one's kind of like facing that corner of West 73rd and Neville. Next slide, please. And then another consideration that we received from design review is when traveling northbound off of West 73rd, this kind of face is the first face that you kind of see of this building. And initially we had kind of a bare facade there. So we wanted to utilize some of the elements of the kind of extrusions and the extruding gables and put that kind of on this face. So that's kind of the first thing that anyone traveling northbound on West 73rd will see. And we believe it kind of fits really well with the current facade landscape of the rest of the elevations. Next slide, please. And then here's some of the flat elevations, as you can see. Next slide, please. And then again, this is of the rear of the building. And then some of the materials here listed, we'll be utilizing brick up to about 4 feet around the entire building. In some areas it gets higher. That's for durability. We'll be utilizing fiber cement siding, various types of fiber cement siding on some of those extruded elements, and then as well as more of a vinyl siding in other areas. Next slide, please. One of the comments from design review was to include a stormwater management plan for our final presentation. So here it is. One thing to mention is that the entire at-grade basin will be within the secured site. Next slide.
Chair, to the applicant. So the northeast corner is where the basin?
Yeah, you see
these corners where the basin is?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Next slide, please. And then additionally, here is the landscape plan. Again, one thing I wanted to mention is as we had just gone through design review, final design review on Wednesday, we have not had the chance to update some of these drawings based on our consultants. So they will be updated based on our current site plan that I had presented at the beginning. But this is the current landscaping plan. As you can see, we're utilizing a lot of trees in the back of the site, and then additionally along the main streetscape.
There was one comment I should say about trying to buffer the relationship between the railroad right-of-way easement and the back of the parcel, utilizing more tree coverage. As many of you know, affordable housing developments are cost constrained. We do have a lot of cut and fill on this project, and we're proposing to use some berming along that. We would like to add some tree coverage, but there is obviously a cost associated with that. So it was a comment, a recommendation from design review. It's something we're looking into, but it's not something we can necessarily commit to at this time. So.
Next slide, please. Thank you. And then you can see just some of the proposed plantings on the site. These are mostly some of the trees and then some of the bushes. And then this is the proposed site lighting plan. As you will see, it will be a completely lighted rear parking lot. We will be utilizing exterior wall sconces along the entire building, where any of the extrusions occur, and then additionally some bollard lighting to light up that front accessible ramp. Next slide, please. And then this is the final rendering, and thank you.
I do think there were two other comments that we would be following up on. One was a discussion with RTA about that bus stop, any improvements that can be made to better serve the population in the neighborhood. And then as well as the comment, I think Member Slife mentioned about just the safety within that neighborhood of traffic, especially that intersection to the south, reaching out to city representatives to discuss that. So those are in the works.
Madam Chair, I had a couple comments. Unless there's any staff that wanted to. Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sure. Morning, Nate Law, Far West City Planner. I don't have too much to add. It's a great project. Staff supports it. Design review supports it. The applicant's done a really nice job responding to a lot of the inquiries and changes that design reviews asked for. So we're supportive of the project. It's a very high need in the city. So.
Okay, Madam Chair. To the applicant or just in general to everyone in the room and online, I find it interesting how we refer to elevations now as flat. I honestly, I don't know if there's any value in using them anymore, to be totally honest. And we have such wonderful tools and models available. I think that's really where we feel the impact and understand how things come together. But I just, that's just me. One thing, and again, this is not, it's an observation. And as we start planning more senior environments, and I am a senior by age, I oftentimes like to go out and walk, but sometimes what happens in my neighborhood, people don't shovel their walks in the winter, so it makes it really hard for me to walk in my neighborhood. That site's pretty big. It would have been interesting if you could have created some sort of extension of the walks and create a multi-purpose path around the perimeter and all the way around to create a loop. And maybe, maybe it's not a walk, maybe it's pea gravel, maybe it's some sort of material that is not as expensive as paving, but create an environment that's healing as well, that you can practice your mental health. Obviously, you spend a lot of time and money on a 10 by 10 cigarette shack, but you understand, I think we should be more intentional about the more healthier options as well. Thanks.
I appreciate that. I would agree. Yep.
Commission members, anyone online? Councilman, anything you'd like to add? No? Okay.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the West Cleveland Veteran Housing as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Call the roll.
Fluker,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Prescott.
Yes.
Sergeant.
Yes.
Esley.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We'll see the
Appreciate
great
it.
project. Really, thank you for developing in the city. All right, the next one we would like to be developed.
Actually
in
was
think
able
we're
to go
ready.
back
I
to the
know, we're
hub
going back.
27.
That's what I was gonna say. The next one we want to also come to the city because we like to have much more affordable housing. So that's where I was going. Well, let me just for the record, just say we're going back to Hub 27, which is on page 4. And this is at 2500 West 27th Street. Go ahead.
Awesome. Thank you again for.
Can you turn that back on?
There we go. Yeah, thank you. Maybe go back one more slide just to make sure I see where I am in the presentation. Okay. Yeah, so this is phase 1 here. The northern portion. So all of what you're seeing, those 3 other buildings and the parking lot to the south, that does not exist. It was part of a master plan that did not secure funding. We do hope we'll bring that back, but we do know that it will be in a completely different format. So try to disregard yourself with that and just focus on the top there. So as mentioned, we're going to be pulling Swift into the site from a streetscape perspective, meaning it will be a private drive, but it's going to be 26 foot wide back to back. And that was out of the fire department. We were 24, but PetBot, they asked for 2 more feet to make sure they got their turning radius and room. There will be parallel parks down both sides of that street, sidewalk down both sides of that street, crosswalks at all of the intersections. You can see they're bumped out so that they actually have the slowdown and kind of deter people speeding through there. There'll be stop signs in all directions at that middle. So we really want people working through this private street slowly in a pedestrian format. In addition to the sidewalk and the parallel parks, we're going to have street trees, we're going to have landscaping, benching, lighting. That does show up in some of the future plans. And so that's the key kind of entryway to this project. And we want it to be a kind of new urbanist streetscape. You can see the building to the north. One of the attempts in the concept stage was planning, the neighborhood review wanted us to mirror this building and actually take the open space that's in the north side of this building and mirror it and pull it out to the street. The biggest challenge with that is as we mirror the building edge gets about 3 feet from the property line. In addition to that, it also put it in about 15 to 20 foot of fill. So we're from an engineering perspective, we really weren't able to do that. But we do like that we now have a very secure and private area on the back of this building. And the goal is to create public areas and private areas. There were 3 main comments out of that conceptual review was try to bring some open space out into the streetscape, which was really more a comment referencing the future phases. But you can see that one of the changes we made is that triangular open space between the parking lot and the entrance drive. We did shift that parking lot and try to get a green space up onto the streetscape. We put a shelter out there. But people might be getting picked up, dropped off. It's an easy, dry drop-off space out on the streetscape. Also to bring some of the architectural elements down the streetscape as well. But that private area up on the north side of the building, that's about 4,000 square foot of fenced-in, secure space. And in that, you'll have a playground, the picnic shelter, an outdoor area, and then also access to the bike room and bike repair area. So it's nice that we feel it's a nice amenity to have a secure space as well as a space out in the streetscape. You can go on to the next slide. This shows the landscaping in color. You can see the parallel parks in the building, the 2 shelters, dumpster area. The whole goal is to try and fit this building up on the corner, Swift and 25th, and have it presenting face towards the roads and really have it facing out towards the corridor and where it's going to be visibly seen. You can go on to the next slide. This is just a location plan. This doesn't reflect the 2 additional feet in the street, but it will if it doesn't already. I'm not sure if that not accommodated in this plan, but we have confirmed it fits and will be part of the final design as we bring that back. You can go on to the next slide. This shows some of the fire discussion, making sure we have the turning radiuses, not only for the fire trucks, but other emergency vehicles to get in and turn around without having to do any unusual angles. We also confirmed access around the building with the fire department with our fire suppression system. We have all the distances and requirements that they wanted us to meet there. So can move on to the next slide. This is our utility plan. I think the key feature here is our detention is underground in the parking lot area. It will tie into Storm and Swift, water and sewer coming off of Swift as well. You can move on to the next slide. Certainly happy to come back in any details you want. This just kind of confirms some of the sewer discussion. Feel free to jump on there. This is phase one dashed out there, just to make it clear. This was intended for the tree line preservation page. We don't have any trees on this part of the site, so there's really no preservation to do, but we are happy to be adding hundreds of plants and trees that will be part of greening up this part of the site. You can move on to the next slide. Same thing there, just a more detailed spec of the landscape plan. Go ahead if you want to move on. And plant specs and details. Obviously, we'll get you more as we come to final. You can move on there. Again, it looks like I did take that back. There is a couple trees on site that are going to be removed. Shelter, and there will not be a metal fence like shown here, but that is a picture of the shelter that we will be using. This is a playground feature that was initially added. Since then, we are working to add a few other elements, and I'll go into that as maybe we review this, the comments that the neighborhood meeting presented. We have enhanced these features though, so I'll get into that in a minute. Go ahead to the next slide. Some of the benching, bike racking, receptacles, etc. Will be throughout. Patio furniture, dog equipment, grills, etc. Here's the building. Up on the front corner, in the corner of the L is the main entrance. We have our on-site management up there to welcome folks in. Right there on the corner, they're going to try and create a little bit of a streetscape or a kind of storefront on the corner of the building there to kind of make the building look and feel mixed use and make people aware that's where you enter. On the back side there in the center of the L, we do have that's where our internal bike room is going to be, bike storage as well as repair in there. You can go on to the next page. Up on the next floor, we have our community room in the core space. On the next floor, we have fitness in the core space. On the next floor, we have a maintenance and shop. And then on the final floor, we have an outdoor deck, a rooftop deck on the northern face. That rooftop deck is around 700 square feet. It has about, I'm going to guess it's about 350 or 400 feet of cover. I'm sorry, 300 feet of covered space and about 400 feet of sun space up there accessible. That's not up on the next floor. It's up on the living floor, so it's very accessible and usable for residents there. That was, by the way, of the three comments that we were requested, the primary comments we requested out of the concept was try to flip the building. We weren't able to do that, but we were able to create new public space to try to increase the green space out in the street, and we've shifted that parking lot to create that triangular space. And then the third was to try to add something on the rooftop, and we were able to do that. So we were able to accomplish two of the three goals of the plan there, and do think that by keeping the building the way it was, we are keeping a safe and secure space that's going to be electronically secure for kids to go play in, and parents to feel safe that they're not out on the street while they're doing so. Go ahead if you want to the next slide. I'm just going to.
I think we need too many of the plans. We don't look at the interior.
Okay, I'm sorry. We can breeze through those then if you want to, feel free. And then I think then we'll get to the elevations. If we could just, you're right, the rendering, the elevations don't do it justice. So I think there's 2 pages and we'll get to a color elevation rendering that probably shows the building best. Okay, so if you thought about the intersection of Swift and 27th, this is what you're going to see. This would be like standing on the backside of the Horizon Center. You can see 27th is running this way, and the new entrance is where you're seeing there's parallel parks. So there'll be street trees, the benches, the lamp post lighting, crosswalks. One of the things that came out of the last meeting was we are going to enhance the crosswalks by doing tinted concrete crosses at all of the intersections to kind of delineate, define them, a little more aesthetic to the street, as well as hopefully calm and slow traffic. All of our internal intersections are going to have intentional stop signs at them so people can't be running through the long distances of Swift. That's about 300, the extension of Swift that would be about 300 feet long there. So that material is metal panel and brick and hardy. Is the goal here. So one of the other comments was you can see our main entrance there. We do have a cover and a double door. They are going to be enhancing that area to kind of make more glass and more storefront at the corner, as well as we're going to embellish that cover and pull it out in each direction and further out, as well as try to do something vertically there to enhance that as the entrance point. So there will be some adjustments to what you're seeing, and the architects are working on that so we can bring that back in final form. I do think that the sign on the building is a good feature. Those do really kind of provide some extra depth and elements to the facade, and we're excited about bringing this development to pushing. If we are there more pages? I think I might have had some of the review pages in there.
No, it's fine. That's
Okay.
probably.
We did have a community, so our process has been conceptual review and approval. Then we held a community meeting. We had around 30 to 40 residents show up. Generally, all were excited with the development and the fact that a blighted site is going to come back to use. There were some questions. I think most were excited about our affordability because they're concerned about price points changing in the neighborhood just because of economic conditions. And so I think having that was really beneficial. There were some questions about traffic and how we might connect in these future phases to the street network. With phase one only coming out to Swift, I think there was less concern, but more concern about what will we do to improve the other streets as we might do those future phases.
Okay, before we jump in, I have a couple things. We're going to hear from staff and
sorry.
then we'll go from there. You can stay here just to hear from Sam with you.
Good morning, Commission. Thank you for having me. So this came a couple of weeks ago, well, a week ago, for a design review, and there were several comments made with local, and one of the biggest hot topics was that entrance, so I'm glad that that's being worked on, just to heighten that and make it feel like it is a gateway to that area that's already been just vacant for so long. Some of the other features that were talked about were amenities for the public. Just there was some discussion about the gazebos and where they stood, but also since other phases are still TBD, what does it look like enhancing that area or providing some type of master plan on maybe making that space greener for the future? A lot of it talked about kind of just the visual, like color reduction, traffic slowing, more landscape around the area, basically making this area as vibrant as possible just because it's just a concrete slab right now. But for the most part, we're excited to have affordable housing come to this area. I've talked to some of the residents myself just on foot, just to hear what's going on in the community. That's just something I like to do. And people are relatively positive.
Yeah, that's great to hear. So I would say just a couple comments. If you go back to the rendering, I think that we see a lot of tax credit projects, and I think that for me, this does not read like a tax credit project, which I think is I commend you for that, which is we get a lot of them that come and they say, well, we can't afford to do anything. So the couple of things that I love, the blade sign, I do agree with a bit more just kind of making the entrance feel like an entrance. But I also like the way that you have sort of had larger window openings, especially at the ground floor. Like we never see that. It even for pedestrians, it's going to feel better than walking by those where the smaller windows come to the ground. I do like the color change, so I don't necessarily agree with local on that. So that's up to you. I don't want, we're not here to kind of, from a kind of nitpick. But my only other thing is that I do think one thing the commission can do is to expedite things so that you can get these good projects done. So if my commission members want to, I'm fine if you go back to local and then you just can go to staff to sign up on it. You do not need to come here again because I think this is already at a level that is better than most that we see. So, but I'll leave it to commission members. I mean, we want to see more of this. We want you to do more projects in Cleveland. So we need to make it easier for you to do business here. And that's how I feel. So.
Madam Chair, I have two comments for the applicant. If we go back to the site, I really think someone touched upon traffic calming, the reduction. I really think you should consider a speed table. I mean, that's a really long shot. I mean, as the extension of.
Are you referring to like raised crosses?
Yeah, at the crosswalk. Maybe at the crosswalk, it's elevated so that people don't zoom through, because that's what will happen. I mean, I don't know where the site plan is, but that's an observation. Obviously, that's on you. I'm not making that a condition per se. And the other thing, I think, as it relates to playgrounds, we need to be more thoughtful about how we plan playgrounds, and it should be for all abilities. Because the structure you showed there, just the presumption obviously is everybody's able-bodied. And I just think we should think about how people approach, how people view, how people, even seniors and even, again, all ages. How do we circulate in and around? And if we're very thoughtful about doing like raised areas, but they're ramping up, slowly, gently ramping up. I know it costs a lot of money, but those types of environments have been proven to actually elevate people's ability to use the property, people's outside outlook and outside concerning the property, and quite frankly, it'll be used if it's done well, in my professional opinion. Those are the only two comments, Madam Chair.
Awesome.
Anybody else or thoughts or motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve Hub 27. And also, if there are any changes or recommendations, that you go back to the staff.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments? All right, call the roll.
Fluker,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
McCray Scott.
Yes.
Sargent,
Yes.
and Slife.
Yes.
Motion carries. So I'm sad we won't see you again.
Yeah,
but
no,
see
we'll
you
be excited to invite you all to a grand opening at
We'd
some
love
point.
to.
And
So-
yeah, thanks for all your help, and staff's been wonderful to work with. We appreciate it. We
Thanks for
appreciate being
coming.
in Cleveland. Take care.
Thank you. You're going to help raise the bar, which I like. All right, we're going to jump back to page 7. It's a public art presentation, DF 2025-019, The Story of Us in Cleveland, 2025. I'm going to swear you, not you. Is there someone coming also? Online. Those of you online, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer to the penalty of perjury?
Yes, I do.
This is for a temporary public art. It was approved with no conditions. So go ahead. Or dear Tara, you want to go first?
Sure, thank
Okay.
you. I just want to first of all express my appreciation of this project. I'm in full support. It was approved by Downtown Flats on May 22nd. We did receive an email of support from Councilman McCormick. They've gone through special events, PetBot, and all these different groups to get us here. And I just want to say that I think the impact of this project for local artists to be a part of a very culturally relevant national conversation is very critical. And also the fact that this is going to allow local artists to expand and grow to a national stage as this project moves around the country. But I'm gonna, at this point, turn it over to Ashley and Dennis to tell the story of the stories of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. And Tara, I believe that's you there. You're very small on the screen, so I can't quite tell. Thank you. This is the story of us. I'm getting an echo. Okay, that's better now. Thank you. So we are a storytelling organization that ignites civic imagination. And we do that through public art and storytelling and activations within those art spaces that we create. We have been building this in the context of 2026, which is the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. And so in our work, we aspire to broaden how we understand who we are as Americans and broaden the narrative around what America is. And at the core of the Declaration of Independence is the idea of equality. And so we are exploring our path as a country towards this aspiration. And we believe that art has the incredible power to connect people and allow them to engage with curiosity rather than conflict. And so what my colleague Dennis will be showing you is the exhibition we have planned for Mall C. It's 10 sculptures that are made by Cleveland-based artists. And we're really thrilled to have this group of artists explained earlier. This is one set of sculptures that is part of our larger group of sculptures. We have been in Detroit. We have exhibited at the United Nations in Brooklyn Bridge Park, and are currently in New Orleans with sculptures. These have been made by artists in local areas. So Cleveland will have representation as we move on into the next cities in 2026. I will pass it over to you, Dennis.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having us. Also, our apologies on behalf of who was slated to speak with us. He's currently becoming an American citizen at his ceremony right now. If you could just possibly go back 2 pages to the first picture. There you can just see the proportions of the sculptures. They are 7 foot in height, 4 foot in diameter. They're shaped like a talking drum, and so they are all exactly the same sculpture, and then artists apply their designs to that sculpture. They're made out of fiberglass, and they're super easy to install, and I'll describe how we do that in just a little bit. So these sculptures you see in front of you were from Detroit. They're currently in Cleveland's Tower City with our host partners Bedrock. If you could move forward 2 slides, please. So we're working to install our 10 sculptures created by Cleveland-based artists in Mall C on that sidewalk that you can sort of see at the bottom of the screen there, with the sculptures in pink and an interpretation column in blue. And I'll tell you more about the interpretation column shortly. So it's on that sidewalk between Lakeside Avenue East and Mall C. And we're going to be installing them on Tuesday, June 10th. Those sculptures will be there until July 21st, when those 10 sculptures are replaced by another 10 sculptures created by which is currently our exhibition in New Orleans, which have been created by New York-based artists as well as New Orleans-based artists as well. And then the Cleveland sculptures will join the other 10 in Tower City. These sculptures here, as you can see, they are spaced 12 foot apart. There's a big gap of 77 foot in the middle there, so that all access into Mall C is totally unencumbered. And then if we move forward one, you can see our efforts at photoshopping it to give you a sense of scale and proportion. Obviously, all of the sculptures will have different designs on them. These are the 5 on the west, just to give you a sense of the distance apart. So if each of those is 4 foot, they'll be 12 foot between. If you go to the next slide, you sort of get a look at Lakeside Avenue East, sort of from the northeast angle, looking down towards Mall C, of how they fit together, again, with a variety of designs and pictures across. The sculptures themselves, you can if you can see the part which is black at the bottom, that's 2 foot in height, that's the base. The fiberglass sculpture is in 2 parts. The top is 5 foot. Together, those sculptures weigh 100 pounds, just the fiberglass. But what we do is we secure that with 1,100 pounds of sandbag ballast that is inserted into the base of each. And then, put the base down in the assigned space, you pop the ballast in, you put the top on, and then it's all bolted together super securely. And they are impossible then to move. So that's the tech specs. They don't need any, they don't interfere with the flooring at all and the surface at all. They're just freestanding. And as Ashley mentioned, we've exhibited these in Detroit and Atlanta, in New York at the UN, as well as Brooklyn Bridge Park as well, and New Orleans so far. So we'll be looking to we'll then look to have the second lot of 10 sculptures in those exact same positions until August 14th, when they will be de-installed from Mall C. If you could possibly just skip forward to, I think it is slide 29, possibly. I'll just do the interpretation column. If you'd skip forward to slide 29, that would be amazing. Here you're getting a nice preview of our sculptures. These are the ones that are coming from New Orleans, that were with pictures from when they were at the UN. So alongside here, that's perfect, thank you. Alongside the sculptures, you have an interpretation column that's made out of wood. It's 3-sided, so like you've got a triangular perspective from the top that has some interpretation that introduces the project and introduces the public to the 10 themes that the sculptures respond to, so that they can walk that journey with them. All of the QR code on them that enables people to scan that with their phone and take them to the artist statement that tells the story of each sculpture. This is, again, super straightforward to install, which is we put it down in the right position. There is a panel in the back which is unscrewed. We put at least 500 pounds of ballast in sandbags in there. We screw that shut, we apply the boards, and then that is super secure. So that's the logistics, which is that it is a very simple, straightforward installation. We're working with our partners Spindrift, who are the production team behind the Freedom Fest on Mall C as well, and they have just installed the exhibition in Tower City together with our partners Bedrock. Ashley, do you want to speak to a couple of the designs? If we could go back to slide, possibly slide 5. Further on, in fact. Slide 7. You're on mute, Ashley. You're very profound, but on mute.
Thank you. I'll just mention a few of these because I know this is not the design review, but just to give you a sense of what we're exhibiting. This is on the screen right now, a depiction of the Seneca tribe, who was obviously on the lands at the beginning when the country was being founded. And so one of our artists, Alicia, has traced her heritage back to this, and she references the land, specifically the Ohio River. You can see the blue line through there. So these are stories that really, okay. So these are the stories that are specific to Cleveland, and also just artists have been very generous in how they have told their stories. I'll just mention other others. There's one about the migration of a family from the South up to Cleveland. There's another about a personal story of redemption. This is about the speech that Sojourner Truth made just outside of Cleveland and Akron. So we're very much telling the stories of Cleveland, and we're excited to share them, of course, with Clevelanders, but also beyond. I'll open the floor. Thank you.
And I do want to mention also the alignment of this particular installation with Juneteenth is especially meaningful.
Thank you. They're fabulous. Thank you. Go ahead.
First, I'd just like to commend the administration for finding different ways to activate our malls. Because it's important. Obviously, programming is one thing, but to create more passive and more interesting ways to celebrate these spaces is important. And most importantly, I think the proportions of the sculptures are awesome. Including the colonnade and also the artwork and everything, I believe is top notch. So we appreciate you celebrating our culture and our city and stopping by. We're to visit.
And thank you for your patience along the way.
I think I can speak for Ashley and I and the entire team. We're thrilled to be in Cleveland, and we've been very moved by how the artists have responded in deeply personal ways, and also to how wonderfully proud they are to be Clevelanders, which is always a joy to see. And we're thrilled to be with you this summer.
Well, Madam Chair, hearing no further comments, I move to approve the installation as presented.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll.
Luker,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Gray Scott,
Yes.
Sargent, not present, and Slife.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you, guys. Can't wait to see it. And hopefully we'll see you all here. Someone's battery is running low. We'll go fast.
The drums.
All right, the next one is a TAF Art Garden Severed Solace mural. This is at 6501 Barberton. Welcome from Metro West, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer to the penalty of perjury?
Yes, I do.
You've been here enough that we can just say you did that last time. Okay, too. So welcome.
Actually, Ariel is the artist. Luis is not here today. He's on the agenda, but he's not here today for Metro West.
Okay. Thank you.
And we did also receive an email of support from Councilwoman Santana. This is in her ward. It's not in a design review district. This is another one of the Transformative Arts Fund projects led by lead artist Ariel Verges. And this is a beautiful mural that will be able to be seen from afar. And it's one of many activations that Ariel and his group are leading. So I'll turn it over.
Thank you. With the Blackburn Group and the Transformative Arts Fund, we had 5 main things: train the local artists, create murals, sculptures to activate spaces, and then engage community and a group exhibition at the end. This one is really special because the design was actually from one of the students, and she did a piece that was then converted into, muralization, a test painting. So it'll be one of the first ones of showing the process of training the local talent and then getting them to, execute on a mural. We can go on to the next slide, I believe. And the building itself had this really tall composition, and her piece is really tall, and it's this blend of opposites. It's like fracture of grief, but also like the flourishing of grace. It's like a mix of the divinity, but also the mechanical. And it's what's really interesting is that its visibility is greatest in the winter times, when the leaves have fallen and you can see through all the neighborhoods and the main streets, even as far as 58th. because all the leaves are gone, you can actually see her. And it's almost like when things are not so good outside, you know, she's a symbol of grace. And, you know, other times it's just a neighborhood that gets to have an intimate relationship with her. Meaning to Denison and the residentials around there. The area itself, you know, it's a vibrant but a little gritty. A lot of residential, you know, historic storefronts, and then it still has the hints of some of the industrial that used to be prevalent there. And then that's the visualization of what it'll look like on the image. You know, we chose this side of the building because it was like the one that needed the least amount of repair for the bricks. And the brick on this side is actually really great compared to the other side of it that has some remnants of old repair. Because this building had gone through a fire that mainly hit the east wing. Any last? Let me see. So then for the process. You know, we want to do a light pass of any of the like grouting. There's not a lot that needs to be done on this side. And, you know, masonry primer and masonry black. And then from there, we'll be using a mix of different aerosols, mainly enamel based, but some of them are water based on the first primer. And the idea is leave as much as the brick to be able to breathe. Not that it's necessarily in use right now, but more for the longevity, especially during the winter times. And then the recommended maintenance plan is 3 years, and we've spoken with the owner to, you know, set aside something like, you know, $300 a year, so that come maintenance time, you know, that can get sprayed with a clear to enhance or to prolong its efficacy on the building.
And I forgot to mention, we also do have a letter from the owner permitting them to do this mural and also agreeing to keep it on the building for a minimum of 3 years.
Any questions?
I think it's awesome.
Too.
I mean, just looking at it gives me like a peaceful vibe, right? You know, it's just respectful. And I think it's
It looks
articulate.
grand. It really does look grand.
Yeah, it's just so, I was gonna say this, something like, it accomplishes something like, it is both peaceful, but it's also monumental, which is like a really hard thing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, it actually is like, can hold both, so I love it, so thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we need a massive motion.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the Severed Solace mural.
I mean, second. I'm just like, go.
Motion and a second, call the roll.
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
McCray, Scott.
Yes.
And Slife.
Yes.
Motion carries, awesome. Can't wait to see it. Thank you. We'll see you again soon.
Yes.
So more work coming. We have one mandatory referral. This is to amend sections 35201 and a whole bunch more. I'm not going to read them if you look, but there's 35213, 40134, 45701, 45704, 09, 12, and 99. And this is to amend various ordinances to supplement the codified ordinances enacting a new section, 45799, and repeal 45705. And this has to do with parking garages and parking lots. So glad you're here because that is a lot and it says nothing at all. So go from there. The director, do you want to start?
Yeah, Chair, if I
for
may
sure.
just give a little bit of introductory comments. We're joined today by Lucas Reeve, Senior Advisor in the Mayor's Office, who has been working with downtown stakeholders as well as internally around updates to our paid parking ordinance, which is Chapter 457 that governs our for-hire lots and structures. This update is really based around safety and security updates and some refinements around what is required in that respect, as well as a couple of procedural updates just to modernize our code here. So Lucas will talk us through lighting changes, safety and security, and the coordination that he's been doing with public safety.
Thank you, Director. Appreciate it. Thanks to you all. Happy to be here with you this morning. I think it's not lost on anyone in this room. The work that has been done by many folks to really help drive more visitorship downtown. We've seen year-over-year growth. And a big part of the focus is not only sustaining that growth, but doing whatever we can and working with all the other stakeholders across downtown and the city to ensure that that growth continues and that we can build vibrancy for downtown Cleveland. As the director mentioned, we've been looking at these paid parking facilities, both garages and surface lots, and taking a look at how safe they are, the types of criminal activities that occur from time to time in these lots, and what we can do to help reduce that type of activity and keep both people and property safe. Many of the crimes that occur in these surface lots and paid parking facilities are crimes of opportunity, where the operators and the owners are not taking the appropriate steps to help create safe environments. And so that really is the basis for us taking a look at this and in creating the ordinance that was introduced on Monday. Can jump to the next slide there. Thank you. And so really where we started was that, it's evident that owners and operators play a key role in maintaining and ensuring the safety and security of their lots. We had the opportunity to connect with many of the facility operators and hear from them. One of the things that's really encouraging, I think, is that we are all aligned around the need for increased standards as it relates to security. And I'm happy to say that in working with them, they've helped to inform some of the changes that we've made and are going to be critical in getting the word out once the laws are on the books and helping us to work through those once we're there. Next slide, please. So there are about 300 parking facilities across the city of Cleveland. About 165 of those are located downtown. The legislation that was introduced does have some citywide enhancements to the laws, but also some specific targets for downtown paid parking facilities as part of a new element that is a security plan that will be required for downtown paid parking facilities. Next slide. All right, so one of the citywide changes that I think is really important is establishing lighting standards to ensure the appropriate and adequate illumination of these facilities. Those lighting standards have been vetted through building and housing. We've looked at best practices nationally for these lighting standards as well. And so the lighting standards apply not only to the parking spaces themselves, the drive aisles, but also there's a specific call out for increased lighting in stairwells, ingress and egress areas, places where the lighting should be much more significant than what you might find when you're actually parking your vehicle. We have seen cases in the past whereby folks have scanned a QR code or followed directions on signage within a parking facility and believed that they were paying for the parking in that facility, and those dollars were not going to the actual facility operators themselves. And so we have some language in the ordinance now that requires that they make all efforts to ensure that all the signage there is accurate and that folks are able to actually make payment directly to the folks that own and operate those lots. And then one of the other key pieces that I had mentioned that this is specific to downtown will require, upon passage of the legislation, that the operators of the paid parking facilities create a safety plan. This safety plan, the key mechanism is upon license application or renewal. And so there will now be an additional baseline that is required as part of that application where they need to identify what safety elements they have in place from an operational perspective. That includes lighting, it includes staffing, it includes what type of surveillance you might have, whether it's surveillance by individual or surveillance by cameras. And these safety plans will be reviewed by the Division of Police. So they will be doing this on a case-by-case basis. So as the applications come in, they're reviewing any past history of criminal activity on these sites. They are reviewing, the size and scale of the site, the location of the site. There may be additional requirements that they might have based on proximity to one of the stadiums and high volume of use on particular special event days. So it's all done on a case-by-case basis, and they will be reviewed when the license applications come in on a yearly basis. Next slide, please. In terms of enforcements, if there are 3 or more incidents that occur at any of these paid parking facilities within a 6-month timeframe, the Division of Police can require, will first review the safety plan that's on file and then could potentially require additional steps be put in place by the operators. There could be a hearing, there could potentially be license revocation. Certainly we want to be able to work with the operators to help ensure that they're compliant and making sure that these facilities are safe, but we certainly have these in place if we need to use them. And then we also have some increased civil penalties and fines that are involved as well, not only for folks that are operating without licenses, but also additional penalties for any provisional offenses that are occurring within the facilities themselves. And I believe that, so just in terms of timing, we introduced the legislation at council on the 2nd. We're hoping to get this passed at the committee of the whole on the 9th. The license application process occurs in the fall every year, and so we want to have these steps and measures in place before that so that the new laws are in place for the 26 version of the licenses. And we've been working internally with all the departments here at the City of Cleveland around coordination, not only on the application process, but also thinking about what it looks like to be out there and enforcing these as the new laws come onto the books. And a big part of that, just to kind of round things out, is that community engagement that we've been doing with the facility operators and other stakeholders downtown and across the city to make sure that we can communicate this and folks understand exactly what the new requirements are.
So first of all, thank you. The question I have is around the renewal or the, sort of license. That happens already.
That's correct.
Correctly. So simply what I think I understand what you said is you're adding in all these stopgap measures and ordinances to elevate how people maintain and run their parking lots, number one. And number two, are you now adding another layer of review, which would be through the police department?
Yeah, I think in answering that question, I'll kind of combine 1 and 2 together. So this, for the first time, public safety and the Cleveland Division of Police will be involved in this process. And so before it was really exclusive to Division of Licenses and Assessments and Building and Housing. And now we're adding in this public safety element to ensure that we can be looking at each individual lot on a case-by-case basis on their own merits, and also have the Division of Police more involved in the enforcement side as well. They're the ones that are out there most often and dealing with some of the criminal activity that's happening. And so having them at the table and a part of it is critical to this process.
That's my question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilman? Still on there? Yes.
Madam Chair, I'll move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Did you have a question or comment?
No,
No.
I'm good.
Okay. Okay, let's call the roll.
Fluker,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Secretary Scott.
Yes.
Slide.
Good luck.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. So we have a long list. I'm going to give you a second to look at the administrative approvals. We're going to do it in one motion. I have a conflict on the last two, so I will abstain, which is fine. We'll still have a quorum. For the last two, 9 and 10, are administrative approvals for Penrose for the what's it called? Water spacing. And the Cleveland Foundation's looking at helping with the gaps there. So I'm going to abstain. Are there any others that anyone has questions or conflicts on?
I was just going to give some procedural clarification. So you'll see many of these on this list that were presented as mandatory referrals in the last meeting. Those all came to us before they were introduced by council and so didn't have an ordinance number. And so we have chosen to list them here with the ordinance number for the purposes of transparency and clear communication. Those all have the double asterisk, just noting that they were heard and official, like Planning Commission moved and acted on those, but then they were signed administratively after the fact.
You were in that meeting.
Yes, thank you. And I will say, I like to always err on the side of more transparency. And so, put as many in as you want. It's our responsibility to look at them. So, yeah, so thank you.
Madam Chair, I move to approve administrative approvals.
I second.
I'll second.
Not fast enough. We have a motion and a second. Call the roll.
Fluker.
Yes.
Curry,
Abstain.
McCray Scott,
Yes.
and Slide.
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, director's report. How are you doing?
Thank you all. Commission members doing well, approaching 90 days in the job, learning a lot, and I'm still happy to be here. For director's report today, I'll be very brief. I want to first recognize Malachi Levy, who is, did I say it right? Or is it Levy? Levy. He is new in City Hall as of this week, is joining us this summer for a public art internship, working with Rhonda Brown and Tara Petras. We're glad to have you, Malachi. He's going to be sort of sitting in on some commission and design review meetings, as well as taking a look at our ordinances and processes around how art moves through our system. I have gathered that we are all sort of excited about taking a look at our processes and thinking about how we can make it easier to do great work in the city. And so Malachi's work will be helping us to do that in the realm of art. So I expect before he leaves us in August, he might come back for an informational presentation or have some recommendations for us about how we move art projects through our system. The other key thing that I want to talk about today is give an update on the Portland Loos and installation. So I have a couple of slides here for you. This isn't in front of you as a formal motion for approval because this project doesn't pull building permits. There's no really formal process approvals needed from the Planning Commission for this, but we want you to be aware of what is going on. And Dan Shinkle is here to answer any follow-up questions you may have after this brief report out. But you have seen Portland Loos before. Given approval to them in some locations. We're getting ready to install the one in Perk Park, which I believe is on the next slide with some details around the location of where that will be on Chester and East 12th and Walnut. You can see it sort of there in the rendering of where it will be on the corner. We're very excited about having this access available for folks. And if you can go on to the next slide, there is some work happening around artwork on that loo. That will come back as part of the art pathway, but want you to be aware of the installation. And then we do expect 2 additional loos in the Canal Basin Park area to come. I know we don't do motions in this part of the agenda, but our recommendation as staff to the commission, should the commission wish to give us administrative approval, is that as we're putting these in, that we can sort of sign off on them administratively rather than needing to come back to the commission for specific locations for what is basically a public utility in the restrooms. And should you have any follow-up questions, Dan is available to answer.
Thank you. I can't wait because I was riding my bike the other day and you literally have to go into some place and buy something so you can use their restroom. So it's going to be a welcome addition, at least for this old guy.
I mean, I don't think we're required to approve them, first of all. Like, you're placing these public and, like, you're placing them in there. These first few are testing.
Yes, my understanding of the process pathways is depending on where they're located, they have different permits required. And that part of that permit routing, some of them end up getting routed to Planning Commission. Some, like this Perk Plaza one, do not. And we can follow that if you would like, but also it's something that we feel comfortable on the staff level of.
I mean, I'm comfortable, I know we're not voting, but to say like that this should be at the discretion of the director. If there's one that you think is in a location that requires the commission, then you should bring it to us. But that's all, like if it's in the, middle of public square, maybe. But like on sites where they make sense and they're part of the park or whatever it is, I think it's at your discretion, like a lot of the administrative approvals are, so that you should use your judgment. But other than that, I'm okay with that if you guys are, you? Yeah.
I'm fine, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you for the guidance. And as we are moving through some of our own process reviews, as specific agenda items in the future, we may be bringing briefings to you about our administrative processes to get your feedback and formal adoption as we move to document those in more detail.
So I only have one caveat to add. Just let me know when the first one's installed because I'd like to go check it out.
Well, it's just real, I'm gonna have to need something tonight. Is the small committee that's you and Erica that's looking at procedures, is that still a thing?
Mhm.
Now that
Yes.
you're, okay, that's good. That was all I wondered.
Yep.
Are we gonna change any big things?
No, actually, we're looking at this. Madam Chair, we're giving some homework, at least to commission members, and I've done my due diligence, and Erica and Drew are working on theirs. So hopefully we'll come back and have a more insightful dialogue around that.
Any timeline on filling our members?
We are working on it ASAP.
Yeah, just to
No, I just wanted to remind us that we are not meeting on June 20th. We are meeting on June 27th. So it'll be a little bit of a...
That's on my calendar.
Right, to avoid Juneteenth, yeah, we're going to be on the 27th, and then we're also skipping July 4th, and we'll be meeting on July 11th, and then July 18th.
That one on our calendar too?
Yes,
That one going.
we'll be on July 11th for the first July meeting, and July 18th a week later for the second one, and then we go back to first and third Fridays for the rest of the year. We just, yeah.
I have, so I am doing a very big vacation abroad. I will miss August 1st. Actually, I could zoom in. At the chair, but I think. Okay, listen. We are adjourning. Thank you.